on somebody's YouTube and then they talk about flipping and then wholesaling and then wholetailing and then sub two and multifamily and storage units. And you go, this is all great. Where do I start? And you're always chasing the different thing. And then you never get off the ground. You managed to take that and realize, okay, I'm going to look at this, but now I'm going to hyper focus on one thing and just crush that thing. So how did you overcome the shiny object syndrome, which I think is tougher probably today than it ever has been to get over?
Yeah, I think it all starts, you got to think what aligns with my vision, but at the genesis of everything, it really all starts with sales. Like every product, and the real estate equivalent of that is finding the deal and sourcing the deal, both finding the opportunity and then selling it to an investor or pitching a partnership or whatever. But it really starts with developing those sales skills, like active listening, asking the right questions to reveal information, and understanding how a just lead generation in general works for everything, and how your lead funnel starts like this with a bunch of people and it dwindles its way down to less and less and less to get to your qualified leads. And then how are you servicing those leads and turning them into potential opportunities? So for me, when I was looking at everything and I was hearing all that, for me, it all started with the deal. Like if you don't find the deal, then what you do afterwards, it doesn't matter at all, right? It doesn't. You can't do multifamily without finding a multifamily deal. You can't do commercial. You can't do mobile home parks. You can't, right? So that was just plainly how I looked at it. And it doesn't matter what your product is, but if you don't have a product, that's your first problem. So you got to have something to offer of value first. So you got to pick, and you got to know that it's not going to take 6 months to get something legit. It's going to take multiple years for me to build up that skill and do that. And the way that I would narrow it down from your potential options is, what is my biggest source of pain in my life right now? So for me, when I was working as an engineer, they used to make me travel all over the world and stuff on short notice, which was fun. But then I was in Taiwan for 6 weeks one time, and Thanksgiving was coming up. And I had a call with my boss, and I was supposed to come home the week before Thanksgiving. And he was basically like, sorry, you can't leave. You got to stay there. And I was like, what? I've already been here for 6 weeks. I'm coming home. No, you have to stay there. He made me miss Thanksgiving and like stay through. And so for me, that was a big source of pain, where I was like, wait a minute, someone's using me as a puppet and I have no control in my life, even though I'm making a bunch of money. Like at any moment in time, I don't have true freedom. So that was my pain. And I was like, how do I get financial freedom to where I don't need that job? And that was real estate. So if you like what you're doing right now and that's not really an issue for you, then I would say you don't need to necessarily pick something else. But that's how I would go through that thought process, is like, what is my biggest source of pain and what vehicle aligns, like would get me there fastest, really. So for me, that was wholesaling. Like if I find a couple deals, in a couple months, then I'm going to replace my income already. So
I think that's excellent. I was actually going to direct right into that next question. So what was it about wholesaling that you picked, and what type of strategies were you using? And backing that whole thing up, I think your advice of it all starts with the deal is one of the most relevant things. If you take nothing away from the podcast, it's that. Well, what about if the market does this, or am I going to rent it? Am I going to flip? My contract is none of it matters if there's no deal. Like it all starts with the deal. So I think that's huge. And now, so your acquisition strategies for wholesaling, I try and point out, like, the wholesaling part of it is just the exit strategy. It's still the same mechanics for acquiring the deal. So what are some of your favorite ways to acquire deals on and off market?
Yeah, I would recommend everyone start with outbound, which is cold calling, texting,